Hey guys, we should be live. I will wait for the chat to catch up a little bit. Pretty interesting stuff today. All recent, a few days ago. Probably the most important thing is having a good judge, a fair judge that can see both sides. Okay, so we are live. I think we are live. Oh, thank you to Colin 99 and Ristic Siphon. So yeah, a lot of big news. The case is moving to federal, and actually we now have court listener, which is awesome because that's what we use normally for every other case we do. So that's great news. Now that doesn't mean nothing is guaranteed. It can always be remanded to state. So right now it went from state to federal, which I think is a good thing. And now it can be remanded. It can be remanded to state. So if they find out that, this has like everyone's contact information. Well, I guess the lawyers. It's okay. So here, federal. Now, why I don't think this judge is great. Oh, B6. Hey guys, we should probably see like a different audience on the weekends, right? Hey, Squid Spaghetti. Nice to see you guys here as well. Yeah, so federal court. Now, it's not only federal court. I think this judge is not very good. Tony Graff, it's not a judge's role to make media. It's like a newspaper, right? You write about what's happening, but you don't want to become part of the story. That's almost like a judge, right? So a good newspaper writer is not going to insert themselves in part of the story. Now, this is a very, very big case. Tyler Robinson is being accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Two things that really stand out is the judge. So this same guy this guy was, and if they remand back state. So we don't know if it's federal for sure. It looks like it's federal. There's reasons, jurisdiction, right, where Ben and Victor is from California. Brian Menzel is from Oregon. It looks like it should be diversity, and the amount is over $75,000. So that's one of the first things you learn in law school in civil procedure is diversity. Now, when I went to law school, I think the amount was not $75,000. I remember it being less money, but if you have those two items, the plaintiffs and defendants live in different areas, which they do, or they're residents of different areas, which they are, and B, the amount in question is over $75,000, which again they mentioned. So this guy is not. He's a wild card, and when you want a wild card, you don't want a wild card. And I do think he was very biased against Ben. Like I said before, we can look at the Proton thing. He was incredibly active for a judge. The way I would put it is he's kind of like a clout chaser. I think that's probably the best way to put it. He's kind of like a clout chaser, because if you see his case here, I want to show you something that really jumped out at me. Was the TRO was let me go look at the docket. Yeah. So this jumped out at me because I've never seen a judge this active before. Now again, maybe he's new, whatever, right? But he is just super. Look, this case. Return of electronic motion for The TRO is granted 1 p.m. temporary scale. He's working overtime. I can prove it to you because of the time where things are signed. He's working overtime. He's a lot of this doesn't make sense to me because I don't know. I know a lot of judges, and they never work overtime. I don't know nobody who works overtime who's a judge, but he works overtime. which is pretty crazy. So the reply, this is what's happening here. Okay, standing order, decorum. Yeah, this really jumped out at me. It's like, what time did he actually... So there was a TRO. Both parties agree, or all parties agree, to modify it. And then the judge says, you know what? No modification. And this is why. Anyway, I think I'll get it to it. It's very, like, the court ends at 5, and he was still working at, like, 5:30. I don't know any judge that does that. Because the whole courtroom is shut down. The reason that a judge is not going to be still working at 5:30, yeah, I wish I could, like, it's kind of weird. I can find this stuff, like, one time, and I can't find it again. It's, like, the weirdest stuff. I should probably, like, screenshot everything I think is important. Because I remember there was some type of paperwork where, like, yeah, literally the dude is working, like, overtime. But what if I told you he doesn't actually have, like, that many cases? So the court, and the reason you don't work overtime is because you have a clerk, maybe multiple clerks. So your clerk is kind of like a entry-level attorney, or many times it could even be like a internship, and they have to go home at 5. So the whole office is empty at 5. Everyone's, they're government employees, guys. Everyone is off at home. And we were looking at a document where he was like, wait, what's happening here? And then the document was signed at 5:30. He read a 95-page complaint. I think it was like a 75-page complaint. And then he was able to respond to it the next day. Right? So it was very bizarre. It was really, really bizarre behavior. I've never seen anything like it where... So when was the complaint? Let me see if I misunderstood. Maybe I think it was the original TRO. Yeah, okay, it was the original TRO. Okay, here's what happened. Okay, so let me give you a timeline. Let me go down to the... This is a very interesting judge. This is a 95-page complaint. It is dated May 27th, okay? That's the date of the complaint. We're going to exit out here. Consignment, and then there's a lot of exhibits, but we don't have to worry about exhibits. The motion ex parte. Oh, yeah, here's the motion ex parte for temporary relief. Judge Graff, okay, So this is their motion ex parte, another 38 pages. So we're 75 pages, or 95 pages in, and then we have another 35 pages on May the 27th. This is a shit ton of paperwork, guys. This is a lot of paperwork, right? And somehow, this guy's able to, sorry, I keep doing that. Somehow this guy is, like, working overtime, so he can... I've never seen a judge work, because the whole office building is empty. So, if you've ever been to, so when I was interning, I worked for the, it was like the EPA, but it was like the EPA for Virginia State. I tell you, I tell you, like, there is no one at the office after, like, 5. Like, it is completely dead. Everyone is gone. Like, once the clock hits 5, there's a mad rush to the park. Like, these are government employees we're talking about. I don't even know if they get overtime, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't even know if they get overtime. Now that I'm thinking about it, I, as an intern, even though my dude wanted me to work overtime, I never got paid overtime. I just got my stipend, and that was it. So I don't know. Do government employees get overtime or not? I don't think they do. Okay, anyway, so... Oh, he's reading... There's 95 pages, then 35 pages. So you got... And then, in addition to exhibits, all these exhibits, this is a lot of mother effing stuff, guys. This is like a massive flood of paper. We're talking about 1,000+ pages. And the dude... Oh, yeah, this is it. I remember is this. Okay, so the court. So this is 5:25 p.m. where this is a TRO, by the way. This is a TRO. So this is on 5:27. Let me blow your mind. 5:27 is the day before. And we don't actually know when it was filed. Was it filed like 4 p.m., which a lot of lawyers like to do, right? It gives less time for Ben to have a defense. Probably. So we're talking about, let me see. This is number 19, okay? And he stayed overtime. Patent and trademark are different, Specs. They're different. So this dude is like insane. I've never seen a judge work this hard before. I've never seen a government employee work this hard before on any case. And so this is what's jumping out on me. All this shit was filed on the 27th. Somehow he was able to decide to restrict Ben's right in a very broad way. And this is a 7-page. He was able to do this in the span of a day or less. It could be less, right? It depends on when the paperwork, if the paperwork was turned in at 5 p.m., then he literally has like a day. So what is very strange is this. So the state of Utah judiciary closes at 5. This order came down at 5:25. Yeah. It's weird, but let me show you what's even stranger. This is Doc 19, so this is 19. This is actually 23. So he did this. Look how many gigabytes this stuff is. So these are kilobytes. This is gigabytes. Sorry, megabytes. This is megabytes. And we know the complaint itself. So the complaint itself came down on the 27th. Now, was it filed in the morning? Was it filed in the afternoon? Was it filed at 5? Kind of makes a difference, right? It's like a day difference, right? But the complaint was filed, and the complaint is, yes, 95 pages. So this dude was able to read 95 pages on top of all the exhibits, which are, again, a huge number of pages more. So the complaint itself is 95 pages. This is why I'm very sus as to, like, what's happening. So the complaint itself is 95 pages. It's got consignment agreements, sold sets, Patreon video, YouTube podcast, another YouTube podcast, a YouTube response. So he's also watching YouTube videos, right? For who knows how many hours. Website, incident log. What is that? Is this thing, how many pages is this? He's got to read. So before he gives the TRO, he's got to read all this stuff. He's got to look at the pictures. If there's like a video or a live stream or something like that, he's got to review it. Notice of trespass. This, again. He's got to read all these emails. So in a single day, this guy is like, I don't think anyone can believe. This is unbelievable. Right? In a single day, this guy's not only reading a 95-page complaint, which already is kind of unbelievable he can do, but reading all of this stuff, watching a bunch of videos, doing all of this, doing all of that. And then you're like, and then he's working overtime. But this is not the only case that he's doing. He's also doing Charlie Kirk. I have never seen a government employee this efficient. So either two things are happening. Either he issued the TRO without actually reading what he was issuing, or he's the most proactive So number one, he's working overtime on this, which is something like government employees, especially like newer employees, they wouldn't really do this. Like I have worked with government employees. I'm not going to lie. They're fucking lazy because they're not going to get fired. It's really hard as a government employee to be laid off or fired. I worked for what did I work for? I worked for a government agency for like a semester, and I was like, dude, like, there's no one here. There's no one here. Let's take a look. I forgot what it was, like the EPA, but it was the EPA for the state of Virginia. Oh, okay. Duh. It's called the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, and that was a government official. That was a government. I have never seen such little effort. I've never seen such little effort given and such little crap cared about than like when I worked for the government. Like, those people do not give a shit. There's no way a government employee can read 95 pages of a complaint and then all this other shit. I mean, I could add the pages if I wanted to, but probably like well over 200 pages of legal content plus videos plus podcasts plus dot, right? I mean, it will. And then he signs off on a 7-page TRO, which is so broad, it would even include myself, right? And then when the parties say, oh, well, you know, hey, we want to, what I'm saying is I believe this judge is extremely biased against, because that TRO came down really fast. And it was signed. And it was overly broad, which is something that the judge now doesn't like. So, yeah, it's super wild to see, like, yeah, I was like, wait, is this next month? So when I was actually looking at this, I was like, wait a second. Is this like May and then June? But no, it was May. So I was like, whoa. So in span of probably less than 24 hours, he was able to read 100 to at least 100, if not 200 pages of very dense legal content, watch all the applicable videos, because he has to watch the videos to know why, you know, the TRO makes sense, because that's what AM MST is saying. Oh, look at this. This guy's making videos about me and it's damaging my business. We need to silence him, so on and so forth, right? So again, that's number one. So that's number one. It's really weird that he's so engaged and so active. And number two, it's like some of this stuff is weird too. Like what's happening in Charlie Kirk's murder case also involves a TRO. So if you think he doesn't know what a TRO is, you're crazy. This guy is a huge fan of TROs, okay? And if you research what's happening in this case, it's not. So like I said, anytime the judge makes the news, that's not necessarily a good thing, because that means the judge is doing something that is newsworthy, when in fact, you know, and he also says the roommate of Tyler Robinson won't testify in person. Judge finds prosecutor in civil contempt for public comment. So, okay, civil contempt, but won't take the death penalty off the table. Remember, this is a baby judge. This is a judge that is only recently been a judge in district court. He's a judge that is like a year and a month old, and he won't take the death penalty off. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff happening with this guy. There's a lot. So I think the prosecutors got hit for like a TRO because they're not supposed to comment on the case, if I believe that is correct. So anyway, very strange stuff happening. You just want a normal judge, guys. You just want a normal judge. We're just kind of in the middle, and then we're gonna watch BBQ. Shout out to BBQ. I was actually talking to BBQ on Discord last night. Last night I thought I saw a post where he's like, "Oh, I reached 1,000 subscribers," and I was So I saw the post. So he made a post, like a community post. I was like, "Oh, congrats on 1,000 subscribers," and now he is at 3,000 subscribers. So, you know, Congrats, BBQ. I talked to him last night. He is good with us playing this video and any other video on his channel. Yeah, shout out to BBQ. He's in Discord quite often. He was very active in Discord last night. But yeah, great video. So we'll watch his video for his analysis on the situation, which is really, really good. We'll play them on 1.25.
Well, I said in my last video, I expected something to happen today. I didn't expect this. We did not get an order from Judge Tony Graff today. Instead, we got a major offensive move by Reckless Ben, kicking this case up to federal court, getting it out of Utah State Court, out of the hands of Judge Tony Graff.
Yeah. So I think it's so the state versus federal, I think is very important, which I'll explain later. But I think Tony Graff is just a really bad lawyer for Ben. Like, if you are a prosecutor and you make a statement about the defendant, then you got like, because the TRO's in place. Remember, they're in the middle like of a trial type of thing, right? This is a very big case. The Charlie Kirk, we can think Reckless Ben is a huge case, but the Charlie Kirk case is a murder case, and they have the death penalty on the table still. So whatever you think about like this case, which is a big case, the Charlie Kirk case is 10 times as massive, if not 100 times as massive, given what is at stake, right? Somebody could literally be put to the death in Utah. So I don't know what is going on with this judge, but I don't think he's a very good judge. And I think he is a judge that would be very anti-biased against YouTubers, if you will, or people who comment publicly about the case, which would be Reckless Ben. I think even if the TRO was modified, whatever, like if Part 3 comes out, I don't think the judge will like it. So you might not have a TRO, but the judge will definitely, still understand that, hey, you're still talking about Alman McNabb and so on. Similar to the Carl Job, Billy Mitchell versus Carl Job's case in Australia, the judge really didn't like the fact that Carl Job kept still making videos negative towards Billy Mitchell, even though there was a trial going, pre-trial, a week away from trial, and then they dropped a very negative video on Billy Mitchell cheating, which, again, the trial was never about.
Tony Graff, and into the hands of an appointed Article 3 district court judge under the Constitution. Let's talk about what this means and the strategy behind it. Okay, so we have a new docket entry filed with the Utah State Court today. Notice of removal filed by Scott Young and the team representing Reckless Ben. What is a notice of removal? Notice of removal means that the defendants are moving this case up to federal court. The plaintiffs do not get a say in this. They may have chosen the original forum, but because of...
Yeah, so Tony Graff does not like media. He doesn't like YouTubers. He doesn't like... he's like, I would say he's old school. In fact, there is actually a video of Tony Graff. I think there's a video. I saw a video of either Tony Graff or the other one. Or the other attorney in criminal. Charlie Kirk murder case, Tony Graff exposed. That's Bricks and Minifigs. He's been working on this case for a long time. He holds the prosecutor in contempt. So this is very interesting. This video is worth watching if you actually care about like this stuff. It's the prosecutor, this is how can I explain it? Prosecutors do have some type of leeway. The fact that this guy held him in contempt was, I don't want to say abuse of power, but it's weird. You normally wouldn't do that. Normally you would give a warning, you would bring him to your courtroom, you'd say, hey, what are you doing? So he's been in the media spotlight, which is not necessarily good for a judge for quite a bit of time now. I don't know if we can watch any of this stuff. I think it would be interesting to watch it, of course, but I don't know if it's copyright. But if you watch it yourself on your own time, you're going to find out that, he's not a normal judge. Definitely not.
Because of the nature of this lawsuit and certain requirements that I'll get into in a little bit.
So I think the most important part is just to get away from the judge. You do not want this judge. If you're a reckless Ben, you do not want this judge.
The defendants had the right, and they've executed that right to kick this case up to federal court. So this is the notice of removal. Please take note that on June 26, 2026, a notice of removal of the above entitled action was filed in the United States District Court for the District of Utah on behalf of the defendants, Reckless Ben.
Yeah, if you want to look at it yourself, it's on Court Listener, which is free. So it's all on Court Listener where it is free, which is good.
Ben Snyder, Victor Nguyen. So only the Reckless Ben side of the defense has done this. Brian Mansell's team has not made this filing, although I would expect they probably would have coordinated with.
So I would say that this judge is like really, he likes it, it's kind of weird. He likes the limelight, but then he also doesn't like the limelight for the prosecution or defense. It would not be a good judge for a YouTuber. Okay. So this judge would not be a good judge if you were a YouTuber creating content about what's happening with you. This would actually be the worst judge if you are that type. If you're Reckless Ben and you want to continue to create content about bricks and minifigs, and launch part 3, have a part 4, whatever you want to do in terms of content creation, this would be a judge that would view that very negatively.
On this beforehand. Anyway, so it says here the filing of that notice in the United States District Court, that is federal court, and in the state court affects removal of this action from the state court. No further proceedings in this action, meaning the state court action, before the state court are allowed unless and until the action is remanded by the United States.
Correct. So the U.S. District Court could remand it, and that means like, okay, well, we don't actually believe there is diversity jurisdiction. We don't believe that. And there's actually, a way for them to kind of do that via DOEs. So if DOE 1 to 15 is, if all of them are located in Utah, then that's a different question of diversity.
District Court. A true and correct copy of the notice is attached. So we're going to get into exactly what this means, but the long and the short of it, defendants under certain circumstances have the right to move a case up to federal court. I've been saying for a few weeks on X that I thought this was the first move that Reckless Ben should make. They should get this case out of the hands of Tony Graff, given his terrible.
Also, Tony Graff is the judge who resided over the Daniel McNeff, who is Amin McNeff and Matt McNeff. So Amin is CEO, Matt is COO, or no, CFO, something like that. And yeah, their dad is getting a divorce from their mom, and Judge Tony Graff, out of all places, he is actually the judge deciding how to split the divorce proceedings. And they have a shit ton of companies, man. They have a lot of these companies, like a mind-blowing amount of companies, to be honest with you. Like, I think there's like 10 companies they had to split. And then they had like two condos and like 5 homes, or like, they own a shit ton of things, right? And it was up to Tony Graff. So Tony Graff is actually, the question is Tony Graff a Mormon? I don't know, man. I don't know. But for certain, he knows the McNeffs. For certain, he knows the McNeffs. So not only in diversity, again, another reason, if, let's say, worst case, it does get remanded back to Tony Graff. So when it gets remanded, it goes to the same exact judge. It doesn't go to like a different judge, right? So let's say the U.S. District Court says, okay, we don't actually want to take this case for XYZ. We're going to send it back down, or we're going to send it not back down, to state again. And you don't get a new judge. It will go back to Tony Graff. And he'll just be much madder this time because you remand. So I've seen judges are very interesting individuals. Many of them are very petty because they're used to like getting things their way, obviously, right? So could Tony Graff be even angrier at Reckless Ben if it gets remanded back to him? Yes. I think if it does get remanded back to him, he would be much angrier. But then you could say, hey, there's a conflict of interest here. That would be very interesting, because then the conflict of interest is you actually know the McNaffs. Oh, I don't know them. No. There's actually a legal case where you are the person dividing the assets. You know, like you actually, the people in this case right here, Amon McNaff, Matt McNaff, the two of the plaintiffs here, you actually, their parents, when they divorced, you were the judge on it. Is there not a conflict of interest? So they could have done diversity, which is what they did. So diversity is, hey, the plaintiffs and defendants, they all live in different states, and the amount is over $75,000. So check, done diversity. Or they could have done conflict of interest. Now, conflict of interest would just mean they have another state judge, right? It wouldn't get them a federal judge. But worst case scenario, so this is like, we're doing hypotheticals here. Best case scenario, it just goes to a federal judge and we're done. Worst case scenario, the does are added and somehow it's remanded back to state judge. Not any state judge, just Tony Graff. Well, here, we really don't want Tony Graff. So, like, we'll take, I think we got to take any judge. So, if we are stuck in state, we have to take any judge, not Tony Graff. So, we need to file conflict of interest.
TRO and into the hands of a federal court and a federal judge. There's a whole lot of reasons why that's advantageous to the defense, and I'll explain those in a little bit. All right, I made a few rather hasty but hopefully informative slides to help explain what is going on here.
This is what I was talking about. This is called diversity.
So you can't always move a case up to federal court. You can only do it under certain circumstances. There are two broad categories. One is called federal question jurisdiction. That's a case where the federal courts have the proper subject matter of the case. So for example, patents. Under federal law, a patent dispute can only be litigated in federal court. So that would be a case where the federal court has exclusive jurisdiction. Those cases always go to federal court. The second type of jurisdiction is the one we have here, and that's called diversity jurisdiction. Diversity jurisdiction is something Congress created for when you have disputes between citizens of different states. The thinking at the time was that if you have a plaintiff from one state filing in their own home court in a state court against a defendant who is an out-of-state defendant, that the state court would naturally favor the plaintiff. And so,
which makes sense. That makes sense, right? You are a Utah citizen. You're filing in Utah court over a Utah judge. So I made a video earlier today, and yeah, they are from different states. So all the McNaffs and the Joss and Brandon, they're all from Utah. Brian Menzel, who is a defendant, he's from Oregon. The other two named defendants, which would be Reckless Ben, Victor Nguyen, as individuals, they're from California, and Reckless Ben LLC is also a California company.
So many years ago, Congress created this system where you could exercise what's called diversity jurisdiction. Diversity jurisdiction means that under certain circumstances, you can have the case removed to federal court where the cases are handled by appointed judges who are not elected and not subject to the whims of the populations of their local states. There are two major requirements for removal to federal court when you're dealing with diversity jurisdiction. First, every plaintiff has to be from a different state than every defendant. And second off, the dispute has to have more than 70.
So every plaintiff must be from a different state than every defendant, which in this current case is correct. But remember, a lot of the people helping Reckless Ben, including Spineless. Where's Spineless Ben again? Where's Spineless? Where's that thing? Let me go on Discord to find my. No, that's not Discord. Okay, open Discord. No, I think I have to open Discord from my little app. I guess that's what I've been told. Like I have to just like load it from the app, otherwise it won't work. Okay, we'll continue on. But anyway, well, Spineless Ben, yeah, Utah, yeah, duh. His channel literally has Utah in it. Okay, guys. Let's take a look. Yes, Utah Orbex. We are trying our hardest to get this man. So if this guy is named as a doe, right? There's does 1 to 15, and they bring this guy in, which I'm surprised they haven't yet. Then that would be pretty bad, right? Because then, yes, according to Utah rules, does don't count, but you can name them by name. You can name them by name. So just like Victor Nguyen. So that's a good question, GRB Chaser, with the $2 donation. Thank you. Yes, according to Utah rules, does don't count. However, just like how Sheldon is named, they can name whatever Ben's last name is, right? So it's interesting because then you get to a question of, okay, is it too late to do it? Like, these are very interesting legal questions, right? Where all of a sudden you have does 1 to 15, and if you name one of them, so if it's just does 1 to 15, it doesn't count, correct? But if you name them like Victor Nguyen, then it does count. So if they have their actual first name and last name, then it will count. So then, what are we talking about here? Right, this guy's clearly from Utah. He's clearly a Utah citizen. What happens now?
$75,000 in dispute. Okay, looking at that first requirement, that all plaintiffs be from a different state than all defendants. That requirement's met here.
So had they named Urban or Urbex Ben earlier, he would be here, and it would say Urbex Ben or Ben on a date equals Utah. And you'd be like, oh, Utah, oh, cool. But they didn't actually name them. So it's very interesting what will happen next, right? So I don't know, like based on the TRO and the modification, we're only hypothetically saying like what's going to happen. We hope it goes to federal, but is it guaranteed? Is it, it would be an interesting fumble. Yeah, had he named even this guy, and they know who the guy is, right? They have his ID and all this stuff. He says he's from Utah. Had they named him, there would be no, right? Because then it would be Utah. Boom, done, right? And I know that the process server, I think, lives in Utah as well. Imagine if this all relied on Ben, Spineless Ben, right? Who, I don't think it's about Lego. I think, Specs, thank you for the $2. I think it's about injustice. Yeah, Tyler's also from Utah as well. Tyler is the guy driving Ben around with the heroin, the alleged heroin, and then the dog, and then the fluffy tail, right? Get him the fluffy tail. Like, so Tyler is probably also, Tyler is one. The very nice Mormon kid who was going to talk to Josh, he would be another one. Top of my head, I think there's like 5 or 6 of them at least who are from Utah, right? That he could mean, yeah. Utah Ben, yes, Utah Ben, right? So if this is a rule and they did name them, then there would be no diversity and it couldn't go to federal court. However, what happens is that you are correct, that if there are does, they don't actually count because you don't know who they are. So who's to say where the does live, right? But if you start naming the does, can you name the does retroactively? Yeah, Tyler seems like a really nice person. I don't know. So that would be like a good law school question. So if you guys ever want to be like, go to law school, this would be a fantastic question. Okay. Is there a diversity in civil procedure? This would be like a final exam question, guys. And so you have diversity here, but you have a bunch of does, and some good chunk of them do live in Utah. If you retroactively start naming them, does it go from federal to state? I actually don't know the answer to that. I do not know the answer to that because that scenario has never come up in my line of practice. Because I'm always in federal. Because I do patents, trademark, and copyright. All three of those, and immigration. All of those are federal. I've never done a case in state. So because I've never done a case in state, I've never had to kick it up to federal. So maybe somebody knows this answer. Because this is a really important answer, right? So what is missing here is those 1 to 15. Which wouldn't apply here because you don't know who they are. So how can you tell which state they're in? But even if... Yes, that's correct. Yes, you have to say... That's exactly correct. Thank you for the $5. You need to figure out who the does are. Right? Like, you can't just have this, like, broad structure where, like, anyone could get sued, right? I could be a doe. You could be a doe. Anyone can be a doe, right? So you have to say, okay, there's 1 to 15 of these people. Who the hell are these people that you want, right? I don't know, Colin, about this. Like, so my area of practice, immigration and IP, is federal. So I've never had to go to state court because it's irrelevant to what I do for a living. So I don't know. This would be something to ask, right? Yeah, but that's another question. It seems like it is very dangerous, right? To have like this thing where it's does 1 to 15. So in the Ethan Klein case, there are does for H3 Snark, but you know their usernames. So you can eventually hope to identify them. Here, you don't really have like... So if you said those 1 to 15 are employees of the Salem Bricks and Minifigs, that would make perfect sense because you could identify them at the time. But when you're just saying those 1 to 15 and there's actually no identification on who they are, I think that is way too broad and there's got to be some type of narrowing, right? So I could say, hey, I want to sue a Reddit I want to sue a subreddit, and there are 10 moderators. So I'm going to and I know these 10 moderators are individuals. I'm going to name those 1 to 10. So even though I don't know their names, they're pretty much defined, right? Especially if I'm trying to get their names. But in here, it's just like anyone who helps Ben could be a doe. Or interacts with him could be a doe, right? So it's weird, right? So how is a judge going to rule on this? I don't know. On
the plaintiff side, you see BAM Franchising, the main corporation, that's Delaware. Baker Bricks LLC, that's Josh and Brandon's company, that's from Utah. And then the 4 individuals, Ammon McNeff, Matthew McNeff, Josh Johnson, and Brandon Best, they're all also citizens and residents of Utah. On the defense side, Ben Schneider, Victor Nguyen, and then the company Reckless Ben are from California. And Brian Mansell, as we know, is from Oregon. Because all the plaintiffs are from Utah or Delaware, and all the defendants are from California or Oregon, we have what's called complete diversity. It doesn't matter that, for example, not everyone on the defense side is in a different state, or not everyone on the plaintiff side is in a different state. You do what I've done here in the graphic. You draw a line between the plaintiffs and the defendants. You make sure everyone on one side is in a different state than everyone on the right side. And since nobody on the right side is from Utah or Delaware, diversity jurisdiction applies, and that first requirement is met. Okay, but what about this second requirement, the $75,000 in dispute? Do we know if that's met? The answer is yes. Let's look at the complaint that the plaintiffs filed in the Utah State Court. Okay, so here was the original complaint, the verified complaint that was filed by the plaintiffs on May 27th. If we jump down to page 71 and specifically paragraph 156 of the complaint, we see that the plaintiffs have alleged that their damages are in no amount not less than $250,000.
So had they not said this at all, which, whatever, right? If the amount is less than $75,000, they cannot go federal, right? I think that those, I'm not positive they matter or not, But I know for a fact, had this guy been listed and he lives in Utah, it would probably be different.
$50,000. So by the plaintiff's own admission, the $75,000 amount is met, and the case lawfully can go to federal court. Let's turn now to the notice of removal that was filed this afternoon in Utah federal court.
Yeah, so that's the question, Monkey. We don't know. I don't know. I only practice in federal. I've never practiced in state, and I would have no reason to know anything in state. So, like, that's the question. If you don't name them before, and it's clearly diversity, what happens if you try to name them now?
Okay, we're looking now at the actual notice of removal that was filed in the United States District Court for the District of Utah. So federal courts are organized a little differently than state courts. There's no counties or anything. There are in federal courts what we call districts. So Utah only has one district. The entire state is the District of Utah. In some places you have many districts. California, for example, has 4. Yes. Northern, Southern, Central, and Eastern.
So we know California has 4 because we covered Ethan Klein.
Texas also has 4. Texas has Northern, Southern, Western, and Eastern. New York is another one that has several. Anyway, so let's just flip through the notice of a removal really quick. Now, it's important to know that this is something, it's not necessarily automatic, but when it's known that the requirements are satisfied, like it's known here, any defendant can do this. The plaintiffs don't get a say. The plaintiffs can't block this. They could only respond and say that the removal was improper. They will not be able to do that here. So this is a proper removal. The defendants get to make this play. It's a major offensive play, and in a minute I'll get into that. But let's talk a little bit about what happened in this notice of removal. So first off, pursuant to 28 USC 1441 and 1446, for us lawyers, we know that is, if you practice in federal court, you know that is what's known as the federal venue statutes. It establishes the statutory basis, the law that Congress passed that gives a basis to move this case into federal court. So we see it was filed by Ben Schneider, Reckless Ben, Victor Nguyen.
So like, this is why you need a lawyer. Like these things are like really dense. Like these books are like this big and then like really small print. And they're federal statutes, right? Like every law student has like a bunch of them. And they're very hard to find. So if you don't know what you're trying to look for, it's impossible to find. That's why like you cannot represent yourself as a lawyer, because you probably wouldn't even know about this stuff. But like I can tell you every lawyer knows about this, because you learn that in the first year of law school, the first semester of law school, because they make you take civil procedure.
And they give notice to basically everyone else, including Brian Mansell, that they're removing this case. They walk through the procedural history. They mention Judge Graff's allowing an ex parte order for alternative service. There's a reference here to Gregory Belmont filing a return of service on June 15th. I don't know if this is a typo or not. It might be, because I think Gregory Belmont is the person, the intervener that filed a few days ago. Maybe not. I don't know. It's a little weird to see that. And then they just lay out kind of the facts to date. There was a verified complaint. The verified complaint lays out where everyone is. All the allegations here on this page are just saying the requirements are met. All the defendants are from a different place than all the plaintiffs. They walk through the same thing I just did. They point out to a different part of the complaint that I did, where they said the damages are in excess of $300,000. I pulled up the one that said $250,000. It doesn't matter. As long as it's over $75,000, it doesn't matter. And again, that's triggered based on the plaintiff's allegations. They alleged all this money, and so this is what the consequences. It gets moved to federal court. So this is it. It's a very short filing, but the impact.
So, like, I think this is what's happening. I think their lawyer is a very, like, threatening lawyer. Like, I'm talking about the McNeffs. Bricks and Minifig's lawyer, like, he talks a good game, but when it comes to actually going to trial or court, he doesn't want to do it. And we saw that same kind of thing happen in the California incidents, where it was a franchisee and he had a lawyer and he said, hey, we're going to move it to California because I think there's a good, and I think correctly so, that it would have been moved to California because due to California law, and now you need to get California lawyers. Good luck. I think that perhaps Denton is all bark and no bite. So once you actually lawyer up against these guys, against Bricks and Minifigs, they'll probably just settle with you.
Is big. So let's talk about that. What's going to happen next in this case now? Because the removal changes everything. First off, is the TRO still in effect? Yes, for now.
So yeah, first off, most importantly, you don't have Tony Graff. I think Tony Graff is a shitty judge. I'm not gonna lie, man. My opinion is he's kind of a shitty judge. And he's like, well, okay, pause. He's an abnormal judge. You want your judge to be normal. You want your judge to go home at 5 o'clock, play with his kids, do whatever his hobbies. You want your judge to not read 200 pages of legal content in a day, right? God forbid if he's like reading at nighttime and watching podcasts and videos. You want just a normal judge who's not in the media all the time based on Charlie Kirk, who's not like talking about death penalties and contempt. And, you know, like, again, contempt is really kind of rare. For a judge to contempt a prosecutor is like, man, it doesn't happen that much because, again, prosecutors are smart. Like, and he's a baby judge, so he doesn't really have all that experience on it. Like, what you want is you want a judge with 20 years of experience. He or she has seen everything, that all the scenarios, like, you know, it's like Infinity Wars, right, with Doctor Strange. He's seen all the possibilities, and he can make a fair. All you care about a judge is that they are fair. They're fair to the plaintiff, they're fair to the defendant, right? That's the best you can hope for. I think Tony Graff does not like Reckless Ben. I think it is in the overtime. I think it is in the next day. You know, the very next day, there's a TRO out. So you telling me you read all that shit, including a 95-page complaint that dropped on the 26th, or no, dropped on the 27th, and you had the TRO ready for Reckless Ben on the 28th. And this isn't the only TRO he has. In fact, the reason the prosecutor is getting contempt is he violated his TRO, right? So it's like, but this guy loves being in the media, guys. He loves it. You can tell from his like photos that he has of himself. So like, it again, whether or not you like the judge, bias the judge, he's just not a normal judge. There's so many factors, including how long he's been a judge, what cases he's been assigned to other than your case, his relationship with the McNeff family, right? Literally deciding their divorce assets. That's got to be kind of crazy. Might be a conflict of interest there, I think. And then just how he behaves in the Charlie Kirk case. It's just like, no, we need a normal judge. We need somebody who is not this guy.
For now, I think the parties will have to refile what they filed a couple of days ago, their joint proposed motion for a preliminary injunction. And the federal judge now will have to sign off on that.
Oh, cat.
Judge Graff down in the state.
Hey, let the cat in BBQ. Let's see the cat.
Court, he's gone. He's out of the case. He has no authority to do anything. He cannot weigh in. Even his note back to the parties, all of that's basically done. The parties will now have to refile in the federal court their proposed joint preliminary injunction. The first thing that will happen, though, is that this case needs to get assigned to a judge. It has not yet been assigned in federal court. That usually takes a day or two. This is a Friday, so on Monday, we would expect to see this case be assigned to a judge.
Okay, so this is interesting. So I know there's some questions about magistrate versus district. So we saw this in Ethan Klein. There's actually two different type of judges, right? There's a magistrate judge, who is kind of a lower level judge, and there's a district judge who is a higher level judge. Typically, what's going to happen is the district judge is going to be like, hey, I'm really busy. So it gets assigned to a district and a magistrate judge. Do you mind if the magistrate judge does all the work? And don't worry, if you ever have any questions or you want me to look over it, you can have me look over it. So many times it goes to a magistrate judge, and very similar to the Ethan Klein cases, we've kind of gone over this in this context. And then if both parties agree for a magistrate judge to make a decision on it, then it's made. So Judge Kim, if you remember from the H3 Snark case, was not a district judge. She was a magistrate judge, but both parties agreed to have her. So this is coming like, a lot of things we learned from Ethan Klein and federal. The reason that the state is kind of weird for us is we don't really cover state lawsuits on this channel. And I only do federal. But now if we are in federal, I can explain to you everything you need to know about magistrate judges, about district judges, or when do you want a magistrate, when do you want a district, about jury attorneys, right? Yeah, I was actually congratulating BBQ Counselor last night on hitting 1,000 because he had a post. I'll show you the post later. Where he's like, hey, guys, we hit 1,000, right? Yes, lost is law understood simply. Yeah, so what was I saying? I was saying, like, now that we are in federal, I can make a lot more useful. I have a lot more useful information if we're in federal about magistrates and jury trial. How do you get to a jury trial? All this fun stuff, right? So I hope we are in federal because that is the only place I don't do state. Patents, IP in general is not state. Maybe some trade secrets, but definitely not patents, copyrights, or trademarks. They're all federal. And then, of course, we cover the Ethan Klein stuff, like. The general audience who's been for me from the very beginning should really already know probably tune out on that part, but it's interesting stuff. You actually have two judges, right? You have two judges.
Once that happens, I will know a little bit more. I've not myself practiced.
Nice to see you, Laughable Larry, on a non-work day. You think Amin staying up? I think Amin is okay. So, guys, like. You know how I get the nasty emails from the LinkedIn, the bricks and minifigs? We're trying to interview one right now. I think the Colin is trying to get one to like agree to interview with us. Dude, they are super pissed. Like, don't think they're not pissed. Don't think they're not pissed. They are pissed at Almond McNeff. Now, are they pissed at Crystal? Yes. Are they pissed at Brian Menzel for some reason? Yes. Actually, what would be great is if we could actually interview these guys. I think the 400 million is okay, so we're not supposed to talk about that. But I think it would be great if we could actually interview a franchisee of a bricks and minifigure today. Because they have such interesting things to talk about. Like, they're in a very rare category where, like, I would say out of all the people interviewed, right? Sheldon and Reckless Ben himself and, Last Relic and Crystal, right? Because they are previous store owners. The most interesting interview is probably going to be a current store owner. Because imagine, like, hey, I just signed a 10-year lease, a 10-year franchise agreement. I'm probably also signing a 10-year rental lease to lease this place out. I spent $300,000 to $600,000 decorating the place, buying, Legos to sell. And now I'm 1 year and then Ahmed McNeff just F's me in the butt. They have an interesting story to tell. I promise. The things they tell me would blow your mind. Like, it would be like, right. I would be like, and I can't share any of it because it's like confidential and stuff. Like, for instance, okay, I will tell you about this. There's one thing that everyone has gotten wrong, okay, including myself. And the only reason I know this is because a store owner told me this. I'm going to read you his LinkedIn. I'm not going to tell you who he is, But, like, this thing kind of blew my mind because I didn't realize this was real. But I have confirmation from two different store owners. Okay. The no franchise free program was a ill-conceived corporate plan, not a rogue franchise. So this actually was corporate, and again, this is crazy. This is gonna blow your mind. So there was a bricks and only one. Yes. Okay, no, not this. There was a bricks and minifigs that we covered somewhere in Ohio. Billy would know it. It is a bricks and minifigs in Ohio, where like they had a no franchise thing. Let me blow the lid on this one, because you guys will be like, whoa, holy moly! It was like bricks and mini. It's like Billy knew what it was. Like, it wasn't Eugene, it wasn't Monroe, it wasn't West Babylon. Maybe it was West Babylon. Communities, everything. But anyway, they came up with this really weird program where like somehow like you could not pay corporate. Okay? But do you know who came up with that program? Where is Billy here? He can help us find it. Guys, do you guys remember this? There was like it was like, hey, the 6% would come back to our store, and we're all about family, and so I was actually surprised, but I have confirmation from multiple bricks and minifigs that program, I thought it was like some type of rogue thing. Yeah, but corporate came up with that, but nobody liked the idea, so it was like one company, right? It was really weird, right? So Colin says, stop. Why are we stopping? Oh, we should not talk about this type of stuff? Yeah, it was really weird. Maybe, okay, so I guess we won't talk about it, but it was really good stuff. All right, I guess we stop, but I thought it was really interesting stuff. Like, I was going to show you. Yeah, I guess maybe it's private or something like that. Yeah, it was very weird. And when they told me this, I was like, no. What? Like, so one bricks and minifig said, oh, you were wrong about this, And then I was like, okay, let me ask the other bricks and minifigs. And they were like, oh, yeah, that. And I was like, what? Anyway, yeah, I think Colin knows. Colin's probably been interacting with that one guy, so Colin would know. Right?
Very much in the District of Utah. I have had a case or two there very shortly, but we'll know a little bit more on Monday when this case gets assigned. So those are the first two things that's going to happen. We're going to get a judge, and then it's going to get, they're going to refile that motion for preliminary injunction. Now, why is this a strong offensive move for reckless betting?
I think I can say this, right? Corporate has a lot of ideas. It has a lot of ideas for these franchisees. All of them very, very bad. All of them very, very bad.
First off, federal courts are known to have more neutrality. Federal courts and federal judges are appointed by the President of the United States with the advice and consent of the Senate. They are not beholden to a local electorate the way state court judges usually are. That means that federal judges are known for being much more independent and generally providing a much more balanced viewpoint and balanced conduction of a case. You have less of a potential of political influence from local populations, local electorates.
But like I said, if you want like the dirt, you want like all the darkest, worst secrets, it's corporate telling the franchisees. You know, I've seen some things, and I tell you, man, they are desperate as hell, man. Because these franchisees are like telling Amin McNeff. So Amin McNeff is under a lot of stress right now. They're like, hey, my sales are down. This is down. I got robbed. There's people fighting in my store. No one wants to go my Lego space program no more. And then corporate has these like really crazy ideas how to raise more money. And all I will say is some of their ideas. Okay, I will just say this and then I will move on. Some of their ideas, to me, in my opinion, sound like multi-level marketing ideas. Where instead of selling Legos, they're selling an opportunity to sell Legos. I'll say this. Some of these ideas, when I kind of look like this, right? So we can't sell no Legos because our, store sales is down. Maybe we can sell the opportunity to own your own business. Whoa. Amazing. Right? So again, it's kind of like multi-level marketing where like the main product isn't like, let's say Pediasure is like our energy drink, right? We're trying to sell. I'm getting really excited because like there's like, again, I really want a franchisee to like sit here and confirm what I'm saying is real because like it'll blow your mind, man. We were trying to get one of these guys. Like they all tell me, oh, we're a cowboy, right? Da, 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 da. I don't listen to corporate. I'm an independently owned cowboy. And then they'll send me stuff, but then I can't show it to you because like, it's kind of like, eh. But anyway, let's say we're selling this drink for babies. Okay, but we're actually not selling the drink. We're selling the opportunity to sell the drink. So this is why I think Amin's going to settle. There's other stuff that is out there that, in my personal opinion, does make this seem like, something like this. Like it's like, huh? So you recruit. So instead of like all us selling the drink, right, like a store, or selling Legos at a store, we need to recruit other people to do blah 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 for us. And then those people recruit other people to do blah, blah, blah for us. And it's like, whoa, holy moly. So these franchisees are being told, right? No, I have kids, and I'm very tired. We normally don't do weekend streams, but I thought it was kind of fun to do. They're being, okay, all I will say is they have been sent emails by corporate about programs. That's all I will say. There are certain programs available, including the 6% franchisee program. Yeah, we need to get one of these guys on, because, like, if I told you this, you wouldn't believe me. Or you guys would believe me, but we wouldn't have any evidence of it, and that would be bad. So no. When one person told me, one of them told me this, and I didn't believe it. I was like, that's weird. So then I asked, so I'm in like a LinkedIn message with like 12 of them. So then I asked like a few more, and then some people wouldn't say anything because I think they understood what was going on. But then some people, yeah, that's a cool program that we, yeah, not the food stamps program, but funny, Walmart has a program, an official Walmart program where they teach you how to go on welfare. I'm not joking. So Walmart's employees. Oh, okay. It doesn't have a program. It has a. Okay, I don't know what that is. I thought Walmart had a program where it teaches the people how to apply for welfare. I don't know. I think I saw it in the news one day. But anyway, I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, okay, let's continue on.
Second thing that's super important, a broader jury pool. Let's say this case goes to trial. The District of Utah is going to be pulling from a much larger jury pool.
Guys, okay. God. Guys, do you remember when you were little kids and you used to have to sell coupon books? It's not too much different from this. Remember this? Like, we had to sell these stupid coupon books, and like, when we were little kids, and they had like coupons to all these stores and all this stuff. Now it's mobile, of course, right? But like, in the book, it was like a literal book. So the book you would sell for like $20, and you would say, oh, over $5,000 of savings. And then you would send all your little kids out there to sell it to family members, uncles, aunts, It sounds familiar. Like I was like, oh, it's one of those things, right? But it's like advanced to like a card now, or like I guess this case is a mobile app, but in my case it's like a credit card, right? So it is You know, yeah. I mean, we all had to sell this shit. We all just sell like caramel popcorn. I have Girl Scout cookies. Right? Yeah, I mean, we all had to do this shit when we were kids, and I'm going to tell you, man, it's a little bit like it's kind of like this, you know, like where like you gotta recruit people to like, you know, you gotta start the recruitment of people.
Pool than the state court based in American Fork. State court case, I don't know exactly the bounds in the county that where it was going to pull from, but it's a much smaller area, which means you're going to get people who don't have personal experience with the McNeffs, or don't have personal experience with bricks and minifigs or American Fork PD. You're going to get a broader range of people in the jury pool, which again lends itself.
Yeah, the funny part is every bricks and minifigs like person I have talked to is I'm independent. I play by my own rules. And then you ask them to like go live stream. It's like, oh no, I can't do that. They will talk so much shit like on LinkedIn, and then not like, you know, and then not go on live stream to talk about it, right? I even told them, hey, you know, I can give you the questions beforehand, and we'll stick to just the questions. I really think, because like think about this for a moment. Just like use your brain for a moment. Who is currently getting inside information on how the McNeffs are behaving? There's only one group of people. It's not Crystal Law. It's not Ben Gorman. It's not me. It's not BBQ. Let me pause. This is kind of a bad image of BBQ. Let me open his eyes a little bit. Okay, so it's not BBQ. It's the franchisees. Who's like constantly communicating with corporate? Like almost like every day. It's the franchisees, right? Corporate, outside of making some stupid interviews, their lips are sealed. But let me tell you this: they are very, very active with the stores. So let's imagine Ahmed McNeff is in panic mode right now. He's saying all types of crazy stuff, right? Who is he saying? So you know Ahmed McNeff likes to talk. This guy's a talker, right? Put me on speakerphone. I want to talk. Well, he hasn't done a podcast recently. He hasn't done, you know, a media blitz recently. He attempted to do that. It failed, right? It was very bad. People made fun of him. Well, think about this. He's somebody. Think about Ahmed, Matt, Joss. Like, they all like talking a lot. They talk. Who's he talking to? He's not talking to like Fox News no more. The only person he can talk to is his franchisees. What are they talking about, you think? Oh, let me play you this clip, okay? Let me play you this clip, and you will understand what I mean. This is going to, like... we really need one of those people. Just one. Just one. And I whatever guidelines they want me to do, I even said, hey, man, we'll donate to your store. I'll donate, you know, to your store if you can get on with us. Because what they have been being, what they are truly in a very unique scenario that almost never happens in real life. They're all families. Many of them are vets, firefighters, you know, nurses, people that you would respect, okay? People that you would respect. These are people that you would respect. Okay, look at this.
Star Wars Lego sets.
We heard something about like some like Star Wars sets.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that, or?
I know some of it. They were gonna reimburse him for everything.
We have a bricks and minifigs employee on our side. It's time.
Those are all his.
No, some of them I think we do still have.
Yeah, I know you guys do. You showed me one of them when I asked.
Did I?
Yeah.
Wait.
So that's Sheldon. That is Sheldon. That's Victor. Sheldon believes that he has not been named in the lawsuit because he's massively in debt, which is probably correct, right? Listen to what BAM is telling their employees. Guys, their employees are their franchisees, okay? Listen to what BAM is telling corporate is telling them.
Those are all his.
Remember, Brandon Best and Josh Johnson are corporate employees. Listen to what they're telling this, I don't want to say low-level employee, but she is a low-level employee, okay?
No,
Yep.
some of them I think we do still have.
Yeah, I know you guys do. You showed me one of them when I asked.
Did I?
Yeah.
Wait. I thought the cops called on you?
Yeah, all I did was.
Oh my god. You know what's really funny is after you left, I got a call from my boss and it was like, how do we get them arrested?
I got a call from my boss. How do we get them arrested? This is like way before any of this shit blew up, guys. And they were already trying to get these people arrested. Imagine the group text, not the group text. Imagine the emails they're sending out. You know, imagine all the emails they're sending out, you know, to these franchisees, right? Yes, these are low-level employees. Very low. These are the lowest level employees you could possibly be on the bricks and minifigs. And they're already telling these low-level employees, how do we get them arrested? They're not only telling them, they're asking, hey, does anyone have any ideas? You know, like, hey, does any of these, you guys have any ideas? What should we do, guys? You know, like, you know. Oh, God. It is so funny. Like, and then they're mad at me. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm not part of this, guys. Like, you know, hey, I'm not part of this. Guys, like, I am not part of this, guys. Yeah, so, yes, exactly correct. There are 300 stores. So Laughable Larry says there are over 200 stores. There are 300 stores, 300 plus stores. And not one of them said anything bad. Not one of them can raise their hand and say, hey. So this is what I've asked, you know, those people on LinkedIn. Hey, how come you can't just say, hey, we're a Lego store. We're independently owned, blah, 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 blah. So that's how they preface everything. And by the way, we believe Brian Menzel does need his Legos back. Just a simple statement like that. We stand by our consignments. We stand by our customers. We stand by our layaway. You know, we stand by business, right? Not a single one out of 300 of these independently. Like, it is crazy, right? Like, think about what's happening. Think about how often corporate corresponds to them, right? No, just think about, like, there's 300 stores, and we can go one by one. We can check them off. They are, you know, I mean, yes, there's 300 franchises. How many turn? We don't know. But none of these store owners have spoken out. In fact, they're blaming Brian Menzel. That should tell you what the okay, I mean, why did these store owners blame Brian Menzel? Could it be because somebody told them information that is not true? Right?
Dang.
We get them arrested.
Now that we have a Bricks and Minifigs employee on our side, it's time to finally complete our mission and get Josh, the owner's number.
So this is this is in 2022. None of these videos have been posted. There's not all of this backlash. There's not, I mean, they're smooth riding, man. They're smooth riding at this point in time, right? Oh, okay, so, Ristic Siphon says there's 220 and 80 planned, 80 planned. Oh, God. Oh, I wonder how many of those planned ones have to get canceled, right? Like, look, guys, like, I'm probably going to blow my chance to interview one of them if I tell you what I really think they're happening. They're in a cult. They're literally in a cult, and Amin McNeff is like the cult leader. So even if there's 200 of them, okay? That's a lot. You telling me all 200 of them who are I'm a rogue maverick. I would never listen to what corporate said. I have my own independent thoughts and opinions, but in my opinion, Brian Menzel is wrong. Oh, Brian Menzel's family is lawyers. Why don't they represent him for free? Like, they all repeat the same things to me. Like, I could pull up the LinkedIn and then kind of like, I don't know how I would do it, like screenshot it or something like that, and then pull up all the messages, and then, because I thought it was really weird, for some reason they all blamed Brian Menzel, and I'm like, wait, You mean the guy who had his Lego stolen? Like, why wouldn't you? Because I asked him, hey, why don't you say, hey, I stand by Brian Menzel, I stand by my customers. If a customer, we've done them wrong, we'll make it right. I said, oh, that's a really, like, that's a very easy thing to say, in my opinion. And they're like, oh, no, Brian Menzel, he's evil. Do you know his and they sent me the LinkedIn thing, and yes, I have confirmed that, yes, he does have family members who are lawyers, but they're not practicing the law that is relevant here. Plus, they're not in Utah, right? So, again, you have to be, Brian's family's in Oregon, so they're not, they're not licensed to practice law in Utah, so they would have to hire a lawyer anyway. So, again, this whole, like, idea that, like, Brian is, like, trying to, like, steal money from bricks and minifig stores. Like, I was like, where did they get this idea from? And they were like, oh, well, let me show you. And I was like, okay. And then so I'm like, wait, why would you believe this? And like, oh, no, it's true. Don't worry about it. Like, there's a lot of evidence for this. So, like, I can read you some stuff. I'm only going to really read you from one person because I think he's, out of all the people here, I think he's brave enough. He sent me the LinkedIn of Melissa LeBlanc Menzel. She is an attorney licensed in California, Oregon, and Washington, not Utah. Look at the packets in the video. It is a US. So another part which they all believe is that it's not a UPS package. It's a USPS package because of the label. So when we see the guy delivering, look at the package in the video. It is a USPS label. That is a federal offense. So there are certain things that, like, every franchisee is, ride or die, right? One of them is, hey, Brian Menzel has family members who are lawyers. They should be representing him for free. He doesn't need $500,000 to buy new lawyers. Why did he get new lawyers in Utah who practice in Utah, right? Why didn't he do a pro bono? So there's the idea that Brian Menzel's fundraiser is like him just keeping the money because he's greedy, which is not true, right? He has lawyers. Then there's the idea, oh, he hired these lawyers because he just wants to, like, move the money and hurt us. And now, again, not true, because even if you have a family member like me, for instance, I could not, as a copyright patent IP attorney, I could not represent I would not feel comfortable representing Reckless Ben even if I wanted to. And if my wife got in trouble, legal trouble, involving criminal, we would get a lawyer. So there is a shit ton of things happening that, like, and this is the part that no one is really talking about. And so that's number one. That's the whole, Brian Menzel should get one of his family members to do pro bono work. The other part I see a lot of is the UPS thing. They are convinced that it's not UPS, but it's USPS because of the label, and they're convinced it's a federal crime, and therefore Reckless Ben needs to go to jail. They have their own hashtag now, so that's interesting. They have invited me to get coffee with them. I have not accepted. Okay, that's also interesting. Watching from the shower, about to hit Toy Story. Oh, I heard the Toy Story 5 is good. Unfortunately, my child cries 2 months ago. We're too young. Can't watch it live, but great covers always, Tony. Thank you, Billy. So, Billy would actually know the store's name, which actually was going to give the 6% back to the store. I think it's actually Billy's competitor, right? But yeah, anyway, back to the thing. There are certain things, right, where I'm not supporting my page is my voice. I'm reading something. I'm a maverick. I'm a cowboy. I don't. So like it's like really bizarre, right? Yeah. Enjoy Toy Story 5. Shout out to Billy. Refresh Toys in Bowling Green, Ohio. I already remembered it now. Yes, Taylor Swift is in the movie in Toy Story 5. Great movie for a kid. So anyway, very interesting stuff. I'm not going to go too much in more detail because I'm sure like every sentence I say from here on out we'll have. We need to get one of these people. We need to get one of these. We need to convince one of these franchisees to get current franchisees because they have access to like everything we need.
More neutrality, less biases. That was the entire reason why Congress allowed and enacted the laws to do diversity jurisdiction, is to protect neutrality for out-of-state defendants. Another key advantage here is
so okay, back to the point. I think I'm like so worked up over this because I really want. Everyone says they're a maverick, cowboy. I don't follow corporate things. Then they repeat the same lines. And I was like, wait, why do you guys like say this? And it's like, oh, well, we were, this is, we know it's not UPS, it's USPS. And I was like, wait, how do you know that? Oh, the label. And so they're like it's like all their responses are almost like identical, but they all think they're unique. It's a really weird thing where it's kind of like they think they're unique and independent. But when they actually like, when I'm looking at them, so I'm looking at 12 different, or I think 10, 11, something like that, different bricks and minifigs franchisees, their response to like, so I'm copying and pasting the same question sometimes, but their response is like, so like, for instance, I'll give you one example and then we'll move on. My response is like, how can you blame Brian Menzel? Isn't he the victim? And then the response is like, oh, he's not the victim. He has $500,000. He's already made that money. He's already in his bank account, and he could pro bono a lawyer if he really wanted to, but he didn't want to. And I was like, no. That $500,000 wasn't from corporate. That was raised by Reckless Ben and by the people who really want to support him. How can you think that $500,000 made him whole? Right, because it was corporate who took the money, and they're like, oh well, and I was like, whoa. So when I think there's a cult and perhaps in play, it's because they say so a cult will teach its followers to say something illogical, and no matter how much logic I can give them, I can say no. Remember, he had his Lego stolen, but he got $500,000 for that. It was only worth $100,000. Dude, that guy's on cloud nine. No, I was like, no. That $500,000 is for legal fees. He's being sued now for like over $1 million apparently, right? No, but he could just get his family to pro bono him, even though none of them can practice in Utah, by the way. Right? So then they send me the LinkedIn of his family members who are lawyers, and I'm like, okay. And I was like, oh well, but this guy doesn't know how to practice in Utah, so they would still have to hire a lawyer if. Oh, well, that doesn't really matter, right? And I was like, no, that does matter. So, like, it's very bizarre. Even BAM and email leaks said they needed to give canned response. Yeah, correct. They have some type of, like, but they convinced all these rogues and mavericks that, like, so on one episode, on one part, right? They're saying, like, we're independent families and owned, and we're ex-military, we're vets, we're fine. And I believe all that. That's all real. We would never, ever, say something we don't mean. If we believed in Brian Menzel, we would support him, but we're not publicly. But we don't. So, like, it's even, it's frustrating because, like, no matter how much logic you tell them, like, you're going over, like, basic law. I get really frustrated with my chat. Yesterday, we were, like, talking about, like, hey, did Reckless Ben say he got, or did Ben on a date say he got paid? And there's literally, like, 5 seconds where he repeats it multiple times in context. And you have, like, a chat person telling me, oh, Reckless Ben never said that, or Ben on a date never said that. But we just pressed the play button, and in 5 seconds, we confirmed that, yes, you're a liar, and you don't know what you're saying. But, like, that's what upsets me. I don't care, like, I don't care as much if you don't know and you make a mistake. But I care a lot when, like, you do know, but you still continue to make that mistake. Oh, thank you for the $5 Squid Spaghetti. You should look into Steve Hassan's bite model. Might show tactics BAM use. Yeah, I will. BAM used to control the narrative with their franchisees. He's a co-expert. Thank you, Squid Spaghetti, for the $5. Yeah, I'll take a look. I haven't heard of the bite model yet. Amon's grandfather was shot and killed for stalking. Whoa, I did not know that. GRB Chaser. Is that true? Do we know that? Because that is breaking news, right? That is breaking news. Like, I would, if you're not in Discord already, add to Discord, right? But anyway, no, the thing that upsets me the most when it's like, hey, the sky is blue. And then you got a person in chat, no, the sky is pink. It's pink. And it's like, no, I've seen the sky. Like, it's blue. No, it's red now. It's red. It's like, no. It's unless you're like a volcano has exploded on you or something like that. It's blue. And then they're like, no, the sky's pink. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, we're not talking about sun. That's like my conversation. So my conversation with chat, where I get very heated, is like my conversation with these owners, where I'm trying to explain like basic logic. No, Brian Menzel, he is the victim. You agree? No, I don't agree. Brian Menzel, he's actually the perpetrator. You know how like Josh Johnson's like, no, you stole the Legos, right? Remember this? Like, holy, like, actually, you know what? I don't know if they have some type of training. Remember, they have to pay $10,000 to go to corporate to do training. Holy shit, guys, I figured it out. Holy shit. No, I figured out why they're being, they have to pay $10,000 to do training at corporate with Ahmed McNabb. If they have any other problems, they have to go corporate. Oh my God. The training is not actually training. Yeah, they have to pay a shit ton of money to go to training like every year. And all their employees have to go. They don't, it's not a, optional thing for them to do, right? Hold on. Dude, we need to get somebody to go to training. Guys, we need to send, okay, guys, what we need right now is we need a franchisee to like wear like meta glasses and go to their training. You know how most MLMs are, exposed is on video. Holy shit. I understand what's happening. Guys, yeah, they pay $10,000 to do training. Crystal didn't do the training because he had the manager. Holy moly, yes. Guys, God, they have to do training every year. And they have to, not only do they have to train, they have to pay $10,000. It's actually in their franchise operation agreement. That you know how people catch MLMs? They go to the training. Right, with like sunglasses, and then go to like the real estate. Oh, this is an MLM. We need to send somebody to the effing training and like report back what they see to us. Holy shit. Utah has more MLMs per capita than, oh Jesus. Is this true? Utah has more MLMs per capita than any U.S. state. Mormon culture created the MLM. Did the Mormons create the MLM? No, Mormon culture created perfect conditions. MLM leader caught making outrageous claims. Pyramid scheme. Okay, that sounds... MLM market. Yes, CoffeeZilla. Shout out to the CoffeeZilla. We're going to cover his Logan Paul. Ilford, we need to... Yes, this guy here. I watched this guy's stuff. Okay, we need to be this guy, guys. Watch this. We need to send somebody to training. No, we have meta glasses, guys. That will be care. Like, dude, I have seen like meta glasses where like kind of make it like not meta. Yeah, WM. We need to bribe an employee No, watch this. So shout out to this guy, always Marco. Yeah, his name is always Marco, right? He goes to MLMs like in person. Yeah, this is the guy here. And then like the shit they do and oh my god. The shit they do on email is bad. But I still didn't understand, like, okay, so this email convinced you Brian is like Brian is the aggressor? Like no, you couldn't believe that, right? No, I understand. It's the $10,000 training they have to undergo. Why is training so long? Why is there so much training? Yeah, Billy says $10,000 per year, training financed by BAM at 1.5% interest. Yeah, guys, yeah, they have 1.5% interest per month compounding, only $2,000 per interest. Whoa. Guys, have we looked at this as an I know we did franchise churning. Have we looked at this as an MLM yet? No. Has anyone looked at Bricks and Minifigs? BJC live source is in Discord. Oh, okay. So I don't know who the source is. Is it BJC? Oh, hold on a second, guys. Let me think. We'll play this guy. Like this is kind of what's going to happen.
Whoever builds the biggest team makes the most. So I built a team of 41,000 people, about 250,000 customers. And ACN sends me residually $92,000 a month, not including bonuses.
Right. ACN is a multi-level marketing company that buys services like cell phone plans. All right, I'm on my way to the penthouse pyramid scheme meeting. I just got here to the building, and the parking back here is a mess. Like, it's stacked with cars, so I'm expecting a lot of people.
Oh, I bet you they have ritual, like take off your shoes and all that good stuff.
Like I expected, there's dozens of people here already. It's very much like a party vibe. I bought this spy pen camera online.
Spy camera, guys. Yeah, shout out to BJC. Has he looked into this being multi-level marketing? Yeah, has he looked into this yet? Has anyone looked? Is there a channel out here, right? No. Yes, correct. Bricks and Minifigs is not a multi-level marketing today. Right? Today. But when times get desperate, and you're in the state of Utah where it allows you to do this, like I said, no one has heard outside of the corporate, right? Yes, I take off my shoes, but a lot of people don't. No one has heard from the franchisees.
Film certain things without blowing my cover, just in case my phone camera was too noticeable. The guy behind me is Nathan. He's the one putting this whole thing together who presumably lives at this penthouse. He's the confidence man in this scheme. On his Facebook, you can see that he's the CEO and founder of I Work For Myself. Nathan has a website called the Gold Standard Network. It's basically just a fancy sounding name that masks what he's really selling, which is ACN. In the introduction video on the site, he talks about taking your first steps to becoming an entrepreneur and taking control of your financial future. He mentions
becoming an entrepreneur, taking control of your financial future.
the company, but doesn't mention ACN by name. This is because he needs time to butter up the audience before someone decides to Google ACN and gets a bunch of results about how it's a pyramid scheme. I got this shot to try and show the age and ethnic backgrounds of the people there. Pyramid schemes are notorious for targeting any demographic who checks one of the two boxes: noticeable minority or noticeable vulnerability. Immigrants,
vulnerability.
Old people, young people, groups who are easier to take advantage of.
Old people. Old people.
At this meeting, we see a group of young black people at the center of the room, and on the opposite of where I'm sitting, there was a group of Filipinos. All of the attendees were university-age young adults. It's common for this age group to be lured into pyramid schemes because they're typically struggling for money and are...
What would I have to do? Sell you more, use that mascara, girl. I'm gonna call you next month, okay? Whatever I have to say, don't...
Yes, they're always at conference. Remember Daniel McNeff? He's always at conferences. Thank you for the $5. Since they're good at conferences, are these franchise opportunities summits involving... Yes, Legally Mind is literally Daniel McNeff at conferences. Like, guys, there's... Maybe we gotta, like, look into this. I'll get my team to look into it. Yes, Legally Mind is literally Daniel McNeff, like, at conferences. You know.
So the simple fact is that
so he's not a conference here. That's a podcast. Where's the conference? He's at... Oh, here we go. Interview with Legally Mind. Oh, no, that's also an interview. One-on-one interview. Daniel McNeff. I know he's gone to conferences before. Because we've seen it. Anyway, we'll move on. But they're really good at talking.
Say don't forget to use your cell phone? Never. That's why our business is 1,000% recession proof.
This is why ACN is actually really clever.
Our business is 1,000% recession proof. Where have I heard this?
They sell intangible services that are not...
But what, Ristic Siphon, what if I told you that when times get desperate and the public is turned against you and it's harder and harder to sell Legos, that perhaps the structure is changing, right? Interesting. So anyway, maybe we'll get the franchisee on. The franchisee probably doesn't know that they're part of this, but once I assure you. Oh, thank you for the $4.99, Billy. 300,000 at 1.5% per month means you're working for the Bank of BAM, not yourself. None of these franchises are independently owned. Absolutely agree. In fact, one of the questions I asked was like, how much money do you put down? It seems really expensive to have a franchise. And they're like, oh, no problem. We have loans. So that's how they did. They're on loans at 1.5% compounding a month. So like there are, again, is it a multi-level marketing today? No. It is not. But multi-level marketing isn't even illegal, right? It's not even illegal in Utah, right? So, no, there are many ways they're taking advantage of the vending. So the vendors, you know, if you look at Quiznos, why did Quiznos shut down 90% of its stores? Well, Quiznos franchise charged way too much money for chicken. They were making money from the chicken. Right, so let's say chicken normally should be $2. They charged $5 for the chicken. None of the Quiznos could eat the margin gap, and they lost, and then they went all bankrupt. There's so many ways you can control the franchisee outside of the 6%, 1%, whatever. You can control the franchisees because they can only buy from approved vendors. And you get a kickback. Now, I'm not saying that it was or not was. I'm telling you what the problem Quiznos was. Quiznos' problem was all their franchisees couldn't make any money because they could only buy chicken. They couldn't go on the market. So let's say market on chicken is $2 for a chicken breast. No. They only could buy the chicken breast from Quiznos corporate because they signed a contract to only buy from approved vendors, and they had to buy $10 for it. That's how they got controlled. Yes? That's how they got controlled, guys. No money down. Like this does not sound familiar. Own your own business, no money down. Just give us your credit card. You know, like, I don't know, man. I mean, we don't know until we send somebody, like, you know, with spyglasses in. And then we'll know. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, guys. But we won't know until somebody comes back with the training.
The level of experience of judges. Typically speaking, federal judges have more experience than state court judges. Judge Graff, for example, had only been...
Yes, Judge Graff. Basically, any judge has more experience than Judge Graff. Yes, thank you. We have a sticker set made by Alex. I'm going to click on it right now. I'll promote it. This is my sticker set. You can go buy it, and you can really support. We do get paid by Alex. then we use that money to pay Alex. So it's an infinite money glitch, guys. So when you buy a sticker set, you too can enter a infinite money glitch similar to a MLM.
Been a judge for 1 year. Federal judges typically have been judges for many, many years, even before they go to the federal bench, because usually they are state court judges before they go to federal court.
Oh, you know what? What we should do is we should have spy cameras and make it like really obvious. And then like, you know, that we have meta glasses on, and then we have a recording pen. And then what's going to happen is, okay, this is kind of like my dream as like a spy, right? Like, we will go to the meeting. I would have obvious meta glasses on because it has like the camera, right? And then the guy would be like, sure, meta glasses are not allowed here. We don't want anyone recording. And then I would have to please put your meta glasses in the drawer. But the real honeypot will be that I have the pen that can record. Guys, do you guys understand? Like, this is like a movie almost. Right? Yes, they will make me take off the glasses, and they'll be like, oh, it's the glasses. But they won't realize I have a pen. The whole time. Right? No, the same person specs. The same person. They'll be like, oh, sure, we don't want you to record. Please take off your meta glasses. We will return them to you after training is concluded. But then I have a little, pocket protector, and I have my little pen there. I was like, oh, well, I don't know and then I would go, oh. No, people have meta glasses, guys. Guys, people, yes, misdirection, exactly. Misdirection. Oh, no. We couldn't send an Asian. There's no Asian Mormons. We would need to send a Mormon, guys. Guys, we cannot send me. Guys, we need to send a Mormon that we have convinced, right? Yeah, we could have like crazy meta glasses, right? And then so that would be the biggest meta glasses possible, the most obvious like cameras possible, misdirection.
And so you get more judges with experience, and that also lends itself to just a higher quality of management of cases. Another potential strategy coming out of this move is the defendants.
So I think like people sometimes don't know I'm joking. I'm joking, guys. It's a funny joke. We made a funny joke about Ben on a date, being honeypotted by V. I don't actually believe Ben on a date. Yeah, Specs would be an expert, so he can create glasses for us. Guys, we're just having fun, guys. Like, everyone's like, sometimes people get upset at me, specifically Reddit, when we're not covering legal stuff 24/7. We're just having fun, guys. We're just having fun, guys. So, like, enjoy it. We're having fun. We're having some laughs. We're talking. We're hanging out. We're killing time, right? This isn't my real plan, guys. I have a much better plan. A much better plan than that.
Defendants may now be looking at a potential change of venue. Now that the case is in federal court, there's a better argument for actually getting the case out of Utah entirely and into a federal court where the alleged harm actually took place. So, for example, in the complaint, much of the allegations that are alleged to have occurred happened in Oregon during Reckless Ben's first video. There is an argument that the proper place for this case to be tried is the place where the alleged harm occurred, which is Oregon, not necessarily Utah. Now, I understand in part 2, there were things that happened in Utah, but I think looking at the balance of what the plaintiffs have complained about, especially in what ended up resulting in the final version of the preliminary injunction, all that stuff that they're concerned about was stuff that was in video 1, which was in Oregon. So there's a good argument here that this case should be transferred for what's called convenience and moved to Oregon. And that would come through a motion that the defendants would file.
Yes, so one of the defendants lives in Oregon, and all the drama, all the defamation, all the accusations, for the most part, probably 90% of them, happened in Oregon in that Salem bricks and minifig store. So why are we in Utah? So there could even be a great argument made. Let's move it to Oregon. Oregon's going to be more fair to us. So right now they're in Utah State. The idea is to move to Utah Federal. But what if we could move it to Oregon Federal? Wouldn't that even be better? And the answer is yes, that would be better. And isn't Oregon the place where like everything happened, right? The whole initial Reckless Ben, the whole reason that the McNaffs and Bricks and Minifigs are suing is because of what happened in the Salem, Oregon store. Most part. Now, Ben does visit corporate, which I think is obviously in Utah and so on, but majority of things civilly that happen in Oregon. So why not move it to Oregon Federal? Right now, there's a question. They moved it from Utah State to Utah Federal. but let's try to move it to Oregon federal. One of the defendants, Brian Menzel, actually lives in Oregon, and more to the point, all the activities, everything we're talking about, all the claims that Bricks and Mini, 90% of it actually have Oregon. It should be Oregon federal. Once it's in Oregon, once you can get it out of Utah, they're going to settle. That's exactly what they were afraid of with California. They were in Utah. I think they were in Utah State. And then California's, their laws are so strong against and pro franchisees. The McNeffs were afraid that it would go to California. And that's why they never responded. They were so afraid that they just kind of dropped everything after paying their lawyer to file like another 100 pages complaint. So once they realized that the case would likely, 95% of the time, go to California, they said, no, we don't want to deal. So the way to battle the McNeffs is really simple. I made a video about this. Take them out of Utah. The McNeffs are only barking and barking and barking and barking because they're in Utah, right? Yes, the Gormans and the Law, Crystal Law and the Ben Gorman, they're going to have to deal in Utah because of the franchise contract terms. But these guys, I mean, Reckless Ben never signed a contract saying I'm going to do Oregon, right? He doesn't have a contract. Nobody has a contract. But as soon as you can take them out of Utah, they just drop the case. There's not even a setup. There's not even an apology or delete your videos. They just drop the case. Because their main attorney, their whole attorney system relies on them being in Utah because they cannot practice law in Oregon. It would be much more expensive for them if it was in Oregon because they would at least need to hire another law firm. So I think the kill shot isn't Utah State to Utah Federal. That's really, really good. That's what everyone's saying is great. I think is great. I think Tony Graff sucks. Honest to God. I think any judge would be better than Tony Graff at this point in time for Reckless Ben if you like Reckless Ben. But what if you could get it from Oregon Federal to Utah Federal, which it currently is in, to Oregon Federal? They would drop it like this. They can't win. They would drop it like this. It would be over. Right? And how do we know it was over? Well, when they're not in Utah, Legally Mine is busy losing cases in Ohio. They were found to unauthorized practice of law in Ohio. All they do is take L's outside Oregon. Outside Utah. I keep saying Oregon. I'm getting kind of tired. I might have to end live stream to get food. I'm getting hungry and tired, and this is around the time where I'm getting hungry and tired at the same time. But everywhere outside of Utah, they've just taken L's to the face. California, Ohio, where else they're located. So get it out of Oregon. Or so get it out of Utah into Oregon, and now you have something. Now I think they just drop the case. There's not even a settlement. There's no need for settlement. They'll just drop the case, and it's over.
Probably not right away, but if they were going to do it, it's something they're probably looking at now, and it would get filed in the next, say, 3 months or so. And if that got granted, then the case is out of Utah entirely. So now that the case is in federal court, does that mean the law changes? No. The laws that have been alleged to have been violated are still the same laws. However, the rules of the game changed because you're now in federal court. The procedures and the mechanisms for managing the case are all different. The rules of civil procedure are different. How the judges will handle the schedule, how the judges will handle discovery, all of that is now changed completely. I practice almost exclusively in federal court. Mm-hmm. I can tell you just from my own personal experience, I far prefer practicing in federal court. Things tend to be more organized. You tend to get better judges, as I've said. The processes are more understood. The schedules are more definitive. Things just tend to happen on better, tighter schedules. It's not as loosey-goosey. And all of that in this case is in the favor of the defendants because this is not...
Yes, and once you go to Oregon, they will all graduate University of Oregon or something like that. So the other key part of getting out of Utah is mother effing like everyone went to BYU or Utah University. Like literally everyone went to BYU. Judges, prosecution, the police, American Fork Police, Ahmed McNeff. Like they literally all went to BYU, guys, in Utah. Every single lawyer we look up, every single judge we look up, everything is BYU, BYU, BYU. Either it's some type of combination of BYU undergrad with BYU law or University of Utah. Like once you go to Oregon, you're not going to see nobody with BYU no more. Okay? They're not all going to be connected together and stuff. Yes, one of his lawyers went to BYU outside your own lawyer. But that's I think that was criminal. I think it's criminal.
Not where the plaintiffs wanted to be. The plaintiffs wanted to be in small town, home court advantage state court, which is why they filed there. If they wanted to file this in federal court in the first instance, they could have, because the same requirements that allow you to...
Utah County, not only is like 85% of the people Mormon, like everyone in the court system went to BYU Law or University of Utah Law.
Do the removal, that also would have allowed the plaintiff to file in federal court if they thought that was to their advantage. So you need to look no further than the fact that the plaintiffs went to state court, defendants went to federal court. Clearly the defendants view this as an advantageous move for them. So at the end of the day, this is a big offensive play by Reckless Ben. It changes things completely. It gets the case out of the hands of Tony Graff. I know a lot of folks in my comments are going to probably be cheering about that. They had a lot.
Oh, BJC timestamp video of newspaper proof of killing. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. So, thank you. So this is breaking news. Shout out to BJC. Oh, okay. Okay. So we'll take a look at this. Oh, bite model. Okay. Like, yeah. Boy, I understand what that is. Okay. Okay. Yes. That was too late. I tried to abort. Jeez. Oh, no. Okay, so, we'll take a look at this. Yeah, I don't understand how Discord works. This is BBQ Counselor. The icons look like identical. Okay, shout out to BJC live show. She's doing amazing stuff.
Seeing each other in chronological time. Wait, this thing glitches out. Okay. So let's start here. This was posted on Reddit, I believe, but I did go in.
Cannon man shot fatally.
To the newspaper archive and find it myself just to confirm it wasn't some type of Photoshop or something. Cannon man shot fatally. And as you can see, it was published in October 1977. A 40-year-old Cannon City man is dead from a gunshot wound after a scuffle late Sunday with his ex-wife's boyfriend. I told y'all, Jerry. The results of an autopsy determined that Dorville McNeff died of a single bullet to the right lung. According to Captain Ray Butler of Cannon City Police Department, Larry Randolph, who was 30 years old at the time, is currently in custody for suspicion of homicide. Randolph is being held at Penrose Hospital in Colorado Springs, where he is undergoing treatment for a chronic kidney disorder. The incident apparently occurred.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's interesting, and their history is interesting. I'm just not sure how it will affect the legal case, right? Cam call, Skype. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think we all have things like this that happen in our lives, right? Yeah, again, this is not even Daniel McNabb. This is Daniel McNabb's dad, right? So, yeah, I don't know how this would be relevant. Outside is some drama, right? It's definitely some drama, some interesting family. Yeah, it's tea. It's basically tea. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff, but we're probably not going to cover this. Because it doesn't really... We'll probably watch the... Yeah, in fact, you know, like, it's, I think there's certain things that, like... I get, like, Legally Mind. I get these shell companies. I get the, you know, all this stuff, right? But, like, this just seems to be like, hey, my ex-wife is, you know, boyfriend... shot me and killed me, right? I mean, what else is there, right? Okay, so the goal is to get in Daniel's mind. It's sad, you know. It's sad. His dad died, you know. His mom divorced his dad. His mom's boyfriend killed his dad. It's sad. Oh, GRB. Chaser shows family history of obsessive compulsive personality disorder involving stalking. Yeah. So like so I guess the dad was stalking either his ex-wife or the granddad, if you want to talk about the McNabb, Almond McNabb. And then he got shot, right? But I don't know, man. I mean that's I mean, I get the news article with Josh Johnson and Amon McNabb. That makes sense, right? Because that connects those two since they were 19 and 21, right? So that's a good connection. So, like, in the current case, I don't think the grandfather has anything to do with it. Now, if you're saying, like, oh, the mental state and so on, I think it more has to do with, like, his mom's boyfriend, right? Shot. Yeah, we're mostly a legal channel, guys. We make jokes, we make funny things. Tomorrow, guys, we are trying to get somebody on tomorrow. We are trying to get somebody on tomorrow, guys. And tomorrow it'll be funny. Tomorrow we can have fun. I don't mind the drama part. I think it's kind of fun. Nail and Head, thank you for the $5. Daniel McNabb was censured during the fallout of the savings and loans. Oh, that would be relevant. Yes. So Nail and Head, that would be relevant to this. Yeah, we are a legal channel, right? I know Tiger King Rex is just asking to be timed out, so I will do that for you. Thank you. Okay, sometimes we time people out. I think I'd rather time people out, and then if you have nothing good to say, then don't say it. It's like, what's it, Fumper say this? Like, I remember, like, teaching, like, Fumper, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Oh, this is super cute. Okay, my baby is crying. We gotta finish the... I think I would just, tomorrow. I'm not promising. Oh, GRB Chaser says, but the granddad was a prison guard with possible legal connections. Ex-wife is suggested to have been deposited. Oh. So that's really drama, right? So, like, was it the boyfriend's ex, or was it ex-wife? Was it the mom who shot the dad? Was it the boyfriend who shot the dad? Right? And now is he a hospital connections, right? Like, do they know law? This seems like really, like, again, this seems like really, really, like, you know, whoa. You know, like, it seems kind of like really extending yourself, like really out there to kind of, yeah, it's tea. It's a soap opera, right? But you know, I never wish ill on people, right? I would never wish that on anybody, regardless of who shot who, whose dad died. You know, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, right? So back to my story, which is not a story, but before I log off, shout out to BBQ Counselor again. Great content. I'm so happy that he's blowing up. Yeah, give him a watch, give him a subscribe. But I literally congratulated the guy. Oh, congrats on hitting 1,000. And he's at 3,000 today. So, I mean, I saw the post. Where's the post? Oh, yeah, I saw this post. And I saw it on my feed. I was like, oh, congrats on hitting 1,000. That was 2 days ago, by the way. That was 2 days ago. No, we have a special announcement. I don't know if we can pull it off, but I'm hoping we do. Because there is a guest that we were supposed to have today. He couldn't do today. You guys will be shocked if we can get this guest on tomorrow. I don't know if he has I mean, if we get this guest on tomorrow, I would be smiling the whole time, guys. The whole time. But he was supposed to come on today. He had something to do. Okay. Alright, guys. I'm going to see my daughter. And then we are going to get something to eat. Yes, we probably... I mean, I don't know. If I can get him tomorrow, yes, we'll go live. We will go live. Same time, noon. Because you guys will... This will be amazing. It's not Reckless Ben. But it's a different Ben. Specifically, not Reckless Ben. I told Alex, dude, if you can get this guy on, holy moly, man. Would it blow up our channel? If we could get this guy on, right? Anyway, have a good day, guys. Have a good weekend if I don't see you guys tomorrow. I'm only doing live stream tomorrow if we can get him on. Otherwise, I think I'll just make